Good morning. Just want to make sure we can get a mic check from the hearing room.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
Uh, can I get one more mic check? It was a little quiet at the beginning. I just want to make sure everything's good.
4, 5, 6.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good morning, Sarah. And you see our video coming through fine. It's not choppy or dropping out or anything.
Looks good. Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. I'll go ahead and I'll put us on mute and turn our camera off until we get closer. Thank you, Sarah.
Sounds good. Thank you. This is the moderator. Could I get a quick mic check from budget analyst Kalia Von Lint?
Yeah, let me just turn on my camera real quick here, see if that works as well. Can you hear and see me?
Perfect. Yep, I can hear and see you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sarah, is it possible to add from the attendees list Brad? He is the budget office manager that will be with me today.
Sure. Just got him
Thank you.
promoted.
Thank you so much.
And then, Brad, could I also get a quick mic check from you?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning and welcome to the start of 2026 for our first quarter board meeting. I'm looking forward to this meeting and sharing many of our updates today. Before we get started, I'd like to ask everyone to please take a moment to silence their cell phones so we can have everyone's full attention during this meeting. I want to welcome you all to the quarterly board meeting of the Osteopathic Medical Board of California. This meeting is being held Thursday, January 22nd, 2026, and the time is 9:03. This meeting is occurring at the hearing room of the Department of Consumer Affairs HQ2 building located at 1747 North Market Boulevard, Sacramento, California, 95834. Today's meeting will be run according to the Open Meetings Act as required by law. The meeting will, be conducted using the following guidelines. The board welcomes public comments on any item on the agenda, and it is the board's intent to ask for public comments prior to taking action on any agenda item. During each agenda item, the host moderating this WebEx event will activate the Q&A feature of the WebEx and will ask anyone wishing to make a public comment to indicate so by replying yes. The host wishing to make a comment or individuals who are wishing to make a comment to indicate so by the name that they joined the WebEx as. When called upon, the host will unmute the microphone of the individual, and he or she will have 3 minutes to make his or her public comment. The host will audibly announce when the 15 seconds remain to conclude the public comment. After 3 minutes have lapsed, the individual will be placed back on mute. Only one public comment per agenda item is allowed per attendee. All participants will mute their microphone or phone during each presentation of the agenda topic. At the conclusion of the discussion from the board members, I will ask for public comment. At the conclusion of the discussion period, I will call for a vote if necessary and move to the next agenda item. All in attendance should keep their comments specific to the agenda item being discussed. There is an opportunity for public comment for items not on the agenda, and that time will be provided. Please be advised that during this comment period, the board cannot engage in discussions or take actions on any matter that is raised, except to just decide whether to place it on the matter on an agenda item for the future meeting. So now we're going to establish a quarter. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask that board members please unmute their microphones. And Machiko, please call the roll.
Good morning. Gore Damien,
Present.
John Cummins,
Present.
Brett Lockman,
Present.
Nagin Maragabi, Hamesh Patel,
Present.
Denise Pines,
Present.
Matthew Swain. A quorum has been established.
Great. We are moving to agenda item 2. And to remind us why we are here today, Erica Calderon, our executive director, is going to read our board's mission.
Thank you, Madam Board President Pines. The mission of the Osteopathic Medical Board of California is to protect the public by requiring competency, accountability, and integrity in the safe practice of medicine by osteopathic physicians and surgeons.
Thank you. Our next agenda item, item number 3, is public comment on items not on the agenda. During the meeting today, public comment is welcome on any agenda item as the item is being taken up by the board. Please be aware that public comment during this agenda item should provide information to the board members and is not a discussion between the board members and the public. The only action board members can take is to listen to comments to decide whether they want a future agenda item on the topic. No other action can be taken on the item at this meeting. I know this might seem, at times the board members are not being responsive, but following these guidelines is critical to ensure the rules of the Open Meeting Act are followed and to avoid compromising the speaker's goals or the board's mission. In order to allow board sufficient time to conduct its scheduled business, the board will limit the time given to each person to 3 minutes. It is not necessary to repeat statements or views of a previous speaker. It is sufficient to just state that you agree. As a reminder, please do not disclose details of an active enforcement case or licensing matter. Such discussions are considered ex parte communications as they could provide information to members that is outside of the record in violation of the Administrative Procedure Act. So therefore, such discussions could create a conflict and lead to the board decision being challenged in Superior Court. The board can receive comments regarding the board's processes in general, but it cannot receive comments on specific case circumstances where the decision is still pending. In addition, the board would like the public to address the board as a whole and not individual members. The board appreciates your cooperation and assistance in meeting its legal mandate. If you want to comment on an agenda item, please wait until we get to that agenda item. Comments at this time are only for items not on the agenda. And again, please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And at this time, is there any public comments from members of the public that are in the room? Moderator, is there anyone requesting public comment online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment for items not on the agenda, please click the raised hand icon, or if you're an audio-only participant, you can press *3 on your device. I'll pause a moment to allow the public time to access these features and submit their requests. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. We are now moving to agenda item 4. We will review and possibly approve the November 13, 2025 board meeting. And let's welcome analyst 2, Beth Clark. She will walk us through each page of the minutes. Members, again, let's unmute your microphones and see if there are any additions or corrections to the board meeting minutes. Good morning.
Member President, members. Good morning, Madam Board President Hines and board members. I am here to review the November 13th, 2025 board meeting minutes and possibly approve them. We're going to start with page 1. Is there any edits or corrections?
So the subtitle is teleconference minutes.
Got it. Anything else?
No.
Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. And page 6. Okay, I'll turn it back to Ms. Hines for possible adoption.
Thank you, Beth. So let's adopt the board minutes as amended. And if I can get a motion. Don't be shy.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Oh, Himesh Patel, sorry.
Second?
John Cummins, second.
Great. Any comments from members of the board before we move to a roll call vote? Okay, let's move to the roll call vote. Public comments first. Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any public comments online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment for agenda item 4, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio-only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, the board member meeting minutes have been adopted as amended. Thank you.
Oh, need to vote.
Now we do the vote. Okay.
Yeah.
Corey Damian,
Aye.
John Cummins,
Aye.
Dr. Lockman,
Aye.
Dr. Patel,
Aye.
Denise Pines.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Okay. We're going to have one of those days, guys. Moving to agenda item number 5, President's Report. So this past quarter, the Osteopathic Medical Board of California has continued to work diligently to advance our mission of protecting consumers and strengthening standards of care across the state. Throughout the year, regular and productive discussions with our executive director, Erica Calderon, have helped shape our meeting agendas and move key board projects forward. As you may know, I've been reappointed by the governor to serve another term, and I look forward to continuing to serve the board and all of its stakeholders. Yesterday, we held our first Hill Day, and I want to thank Dr. Patel, Mr. Ottoman, Mr. Cummings for serving as our inaugural delegation and for their willingness to go above and beyond in service to the board. A special thanks to Ms. Calderon and Ms. Thorfinson for coordinating a full day of meetings with our state legislators. We met with legislators to provide an overview of what a DO is and to begin building support for any future bill that would clarify and define who is licensed as a DO and protect the integrity of our professional designation. Ms. Thorfinson will be providing later on today a detailed report, so I am not going to steal her thunder at this moment. As you know, I also serve on the board of the Federation of State Medical Boards, and the FSMB board meeting will take place in late February. And in advance of that meeting, February 6th, I will be in New Orleans participating in a working session focused on trauma-informed care. And I'll report back to the board on any insights or developments relative to our work here in California. And then lastly, the FSMB's Office of AI Innovation continues to monitor the regulation of artificial intelligence, which remains an important and evolving area as advances in accuracy and reasoning continue. And that concludes my president's report. Are there any questions or comments from board members on the president's report? Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from the public online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment for agenda item 5, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. We are now going to move to agenda item 6, board member communications with interested parties. Does any board member need to share any communications, any new roles, any meetings you've had outside of the board with legislators? Nope. Nope. Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, is there anyone requesting public comment online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment for agenda item 6, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can press *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, we are moving steadfast. So we are moving to agenda item 7, intergovernmental relations report by our administrative services. It's our administrative services update, and we are joined by DCA Shelley Jones, Assistant Deputy Director of Board and Bureau Relations. Hello, Shelley. Good morning.
Now it's on.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As President Pines mentioned, I am Shelley. I'm with the Board of Bureau Relations. And first, I would like to congratulate you on your reappointment.
Thank you.
We're very glad to have you continuing to serve with DCA on this board.
Thank you.
Several items that we would like to provide an update on today. First is an update to our DCA executive team. We're excited to announce that Chief Deputy Director Christine Lawley has been named the Acting Director of the Department of Consumer Affairs. She enters this role following the retirement of DCA Director Kimberly Kirkmeyer. Director Lawley brings extensive experience to the position, having served in multiple leadership roles within the department since 2013. She will lead DCA in this position until a director is formally appointed by the governor's office. The DCA's executive office would like to thank the board and staff for their hard work and partnership over this last year. We're excited about 2026 and the many opportunities that await us. A brief report on the governor's activities. On January 8th, he delivered his final State of the State address, reaffirming California's role as a national beacon for democracy and an economic engine with conscience, pushing back against federal overreach while boldly investing in jobs, education, affordability, climate action, and recovery from the Los Angeles wildfires. On January 9th, he released his proposed 2026-27 budget. The budget is balanced for the coming fiscal year, reflecting a surge in state revenues, forecasting more than $42 billion higher than projected at last year's enacted budget. The budget does not include new significant spending proposals. Instead, it builds on prior policy successes and continues to implement critical investments in priorities such as education, affordability, small businesses, wildfire mitigation, and more. On the LA fires, this month marked 1 year since the devastating firestorms that swept through Los Angeles County. California remains committed to helping survivors recover with an all-of-government approach, building on efforts that have accelerated recovery and supported communities. On this anniversary, DCA 2 reaffirms its commitment to support survivors and help the community heal. And in response to those fires, Governor Newsom took action to assist licensees affected by the Los Angeles fires and swiftly issued an executive order to allow a 1-year postponement of renewal fees for survivors impacted by the fires that were due for renewal between January and June of 2025. DCA began sending out notices this month to licensees who renewed their license in 2025 and chose this postponement option, with a reminder about the 1-year postponement and renewal fees due dates. Licensees with license types in the Breeze system can pay these renewal fees through their online account, while all licensees with license types that are not in Breeze may submit their payment via mail. As we've mentioned previously this year, the governor's reorganization plan includes his proposal to split DCA's oversight agency, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, into 2 state agencies, the California Housing and Homelessness Agency and the Business and Consumer Services Agency. After public hearings and review by the Little Hoover Commission and the legislature, the plan was enacted on July 5th of 2025. The new Business and Consumer Services Agency will be responsible for consumer affairs, licensing, and enforcement, and the Department of Consumer Affairs would be among the 8 departments within that agency. Those 2 new agencies will become operative this July 1st. DCA is continuing to participate in multiple agency work groups on the logistics required to transition to the new agency and will continue to keep board and bureau leadership apprised through the months ahead. Just a quick reminder about travel and how to best serve the public. It is incumbent upon all of us to ensure that we're being fiscally prudent in our decisions, especially when traveling for board business. We would like to remind members and staff to evaluate if rental cars are always necessary versus ride-sharing services. Carpooling is also highly encouraged when renting vehicles. We know that there may be new travel costs you are experiencing as well, such as baggage fees. So please keep receipts to ensure that you can get reimbursed for those. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at memberrelations.dca.ca.gov. And then last but not least, almost last, Form 700 time. As we kick off a new year, we want to provide a reminder about our Form 700 Statement of Economic Interest filings. These forms must be filed within 30 days of assuming or leaving your appointment and annually by April 1st. This year's annual filing period covers the prior calendar year, which would be January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. The deadline for filing is Wednesday, April 1st. To ensure compliance, we would like to request that the Form 700 filers complete these e-filings by Friday, March 20th. As a reminder, all members must file their forms through FPPC's online e-filing portal, as paper filings or hard copy filings will not be accepted. You should have received an email from FPPC with instructions on how to file your annual form. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at boardrelations@dca.ca.gov. And now training. 3 training items to provide reminders on. Unconscious bias training. We may have mentioned previously in one of your meetings that our training unit developed an unconscious bias training specifically for board members. This training is going to be added to members' LMS accounts by the end of the month, and you'll be able to log on and access that through your just drew a blank, your transcript to launch and take that training. President's training. Our president's training for this year is scheduled for February 24th. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 12:30. This is going to be a virtual training for all current board presidents, vice presidents, and Bureau Advisory Committee chairs and vice chairs. This virtual training serves as a forum to share best practices for presiding over a board or advisory committee. Please register online using DCA's learning management system. That training will be pushed to transcripts for our presidents, vice presidents by the end of the week. And then lastly, board member orientation training. We have scheduled our dates for 2026. Those will be April 1st, June 24th, and October 21st. As a reminder, this training must be completed by board members within 1 year of appointment and reappointment to the board. And you can register through the LMS to be ensure your compliance with that. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out and let me know, and I'll help you with that. And with that, thank you all for your dedicated service to California and its consumers. And it was a pleasure to be here with you today.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Appreciate your update. Are there any comments from board members? Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from the public online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on agenda item 6, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can press *3 on your device. I apologize, this is for agenda item 7. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you. Now for our budget office update, we are joined by Ms. Lint and Ms. Veracruz, who are in the DCA's budget office.
Have Brad joining us today instead.
Oh. Oh, okay. It sound, we have a new person joining us, Brad.
Good morning.
Good morning. You can begin.
Kayla, are you there? Oh, did she freeze? Let me try to reach out to Kayla. I think she froze.
Hello? Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, and thank you, Madam President Pines. My name is Kayla Van Lint. I am a budget analyst with the DCA Budget Office, and I am joined by the budget manager, Brad Lencioni. I want to thank the board and executive staff for allowing me a few minutes to present on agenda item 7B, the board's expenditure projections and fund condition statement. First, I'm going to start with the board's expenditures included in your materials. These projections are based on actual data through fiscal month 5. This report includes 2024 through 2025 actual expenditures in green, as well as 2025 through 2026 budgeted and projected expenditures in blue and orange. As we move to the end of the document, you will see the board has a budget of $4.333 million and is projected to spend about $4.915 million exceeding the board's budget by approximately $582,000, with a reversion percentage of negative 13.42%. At the bottom of this document is a table that shows the need and estimates for AG and HQIU augmentations, as you will see applied in the secondary expenditure projections document. The next document I will be going over is the board's expenditures with estimated AG and HQIU augmentations, also included in your materials. The projections shown are the same as the previous projections with the added AG and HQIU augmentations. These augmentations are based on enforcement needs and will be requested to increase the board's appropriation associated with the increased costs in AG and HQIU. Assuming these augmentations, projections now show the board with a budget of $4.953 million and is projected to spend $4.5 million, creating a reversion to the board's fund of approximately $39,000 with a revision percentage of 0.78%. The next document I'll be going over is the board's revenue projections included in your materials. This report includes receipts collected through November. I will go further into the projections as we transition to the next slide. The next document is the board's fund condition statement included in your materials. As a reminder, we read this document from top to bottom and left to right. The left column is the board's prior year 2024 through 2025 based on actuals. It shows the board began 2024 through 2025 with a beginning balance of $5.098 million. The board collected $4.119 million in revenue, with $1.096 million from initial license fees, $2.737 million from renewal fees, and $286,000 was collected from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board expanded $4.274 million, which includes $217,000 in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The board ended 2024 through 2025 with $4.943 million in reserve balance, or about 10.5 months in reserve. The next column shows the current year based on fiscal month 5 projections with the added estimated AG and HQIU augmentations. For the current year, 2025 through 2026, the board projected revenues of $3.789 million with $1.116 million projected from initial license fees, about $2.444 million from renewal fees, and looks like here, $299,000 from the issuance of citations, fines, delinquent fees, and other revenue. The board is projected to expend $5.667 million, which includes $241,000 in direct draws to the fund for statewide pro rata and pension payments. The board is estimated to receive an additional $620,000 in appropriation to cover increased AG and HQIU costs. The board is projected to end 2025 through 2026 with $3.065 million in reserve balance, or about 7.4 months in reserve. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's revenue and expenditures and report back to the board with monthly expenditure projections as we continue to close fiscal months in the current fiscal year. A few things to note of the board's fund condition. The fund condition is a snapshot in time. One of the main factors driving expenditure increases in future years is a result of personal service adjustments. These include general salary increases as well as employee compensation and retirement rate adjustments. The budget office includes a conservative ongoing 3% increase to the expenditures on the fund condition statement to account for these ongoing incremental adjustments. You will also notice revenue is projected static in the out years. Lastly, I would like to note to the board that any future legislation or unanticipated events could result in the board's need for additional resources, which would create cost pressure on the fund. The budget office will continue to monitor the board's fund condition statement and keep the line of communication with the board's executive staff open for any future needs or expectations. Again, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present at today's meeting, and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any comments from members of the board? No. Okay, are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from public online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on agenda item 7B, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Van Lint.
Thank you.
We are now going to move to agenda item number 8, the Executive Director's Report. Ms. Erica Calderon.
Thank you, Madam Board President Pines. It looks like we're moving along in our agenda pretty quick here. This report is intended to provide the members of the Osteopathic Medical Board with an update on personnel and other administrative functions and projects occurring at the OMBC, and no action is needed for this report. First of all, I'd like to, it looks like we announced your reappointment already, Ms. Pines, but I'd like to congratulate you on that. Looking forward to working with you for another 4 years to come. You have kept me very busy, and I love it. There's many projects ahead of our upcoming years, and I look forward to getting your leadership and guidance on all of those. You've been our board president for the last 2 years, and we've done so much in that short period of time. As Shelley mentioned, with our prior director's retirement, she announced that our acting director, Ms. Christine Lawley, has been placed in that position effective January 1st. So I would also like to thank Ms. Lawley for her leadership and mentorship over the years that I worked with her at the Medical Board of California, and like to congratulate her in her appointment. I look forward to working with her in many projects, including the DEIA Steering Committee. So congratulations, Ms. Lawley, on that. Another announcement that we have not announced for this specific board is the retirement of Kathleen Nichols, who served as our chief of DCA's Division of Investigation Office. She also retired at the end of this year, and Ms. Nichols had over 30 years of enforcement and investigation experience. Prior to her role as chief, she also served as a deputy chief of the Health and Quality Investigation Unit. So we'd like to go ahead and say congratulations to Ms. Nichols on her retirement officially. And as far as I know, that position is still being recruited for at this time. In terms of personnel for the OMBC staff, we still have 15.9 authorized positions. There are some changes that occurred with our analyst positions effective August 11, 2025. The State Personnel Board, also known as SPB, approved California Department of Health and Human Resources proposal to consolidate multiple service-wide and departmental specific classifications into one streamlined generalist classification series. These classification changes were implemented on January of 2026. I did provide in my report a chart for you where you can see those current classifications and the I would say the title and the proposed new title for them. So we have a series of staff service managers that converted to manager 1, manager 2, and supervisory positions as well. And then we have our associate governmental program analyst positions, which is mainly what we have at the board in terms of analyst positions. So our associate governmental program analyst has now been converted to analyst 2, and our staff services analyst has been converted to an analyst 1. So those are personnel changes throughout the entire state that we are now having to implement. I did provide you with an org chart. You can still see that we have a vacant position under the enforcement unit. This was a limited term position that we were trying to fill for one of our current analysts who's out on medical leave. We decided to hold off on filling this position for a while to save some money in that area. So when we talk about the enforcement report, you will see that the analysts have inherited a little bit more cases. So we're working closely to help that unit so that no backlogs occur. As you know, Christy was our prior analyst in that unit, and she has taken on the role to assist with that, meaning she's reviewing cases along with the analyst to help support that additional workload. We are also utilizing our special investigator limited term position as much as we can. That individual has taken on a full load. In addition to investigations, she's also assisting with triaging some consumer complaints as well. As Shelley mentioned, the OMBC is still operating under the Department of Finance issued budget letters. OMBC is monitoring all of our expenses very closely, including our state travel, to make sure that this is just for operational needs only. We all have to abide by those rules, so we are trying to figure out ways of how we can continue on with our outreach efforts, just mainly staying local in the area so that we don't incur any expenses with that. In terms of communication, as previously announced at the last board meeting, OMBC, along with the Medical Board of California, the State Medical Board, the California State Board of Pharmacy, Board of Registered Nursing, and others hosted a joint forum on December 17, 2025. This event was intended to provide a forum to facilitate better collaboration and understanding specifically related to access to controlled substances. The forum was convened both in person and via WebEx. Looked like we had a lot of participations attending WebEx. The forum included presentations from a variety of agencies, panel discussions, and breakout sessions, with the focus of the breakout sessions identifying opportunities for healthcare providers to collaborate to advance patient care. Information gained during the breakout sessions is being reviewed at this time to determine possible actions that all of the boards can help and facilitate to improve that collaboration. And as all of you know, I do represent our prescribing boards in our Cures Executive Stakeholder Committee. So some of those ideas I can actually take over to the Cure system. Looks like we have great ideas that were discussed about how we can make improvements with communication between our prescribers and our dispensers through the Cures database. So that's one of the efforts that some of us will be working on. And in terms of my general communication, I have extensive email communications with Madam Board President Pines to talk about ongoing pending projects at the board and obviously meeting agendas. Continue to meet periodically, Christy and I, with our board liaison with the Attorney General's office, Carolyn Westfall, to communicate frequently on cases that we have pending at at the AG's office so that we can move them along a lot faster. I also continue to work directly with HQIU staff along with Christy to communicate on pending investigations, those that have a high priority and short statute of limitations to help move those along as well. We continue to meet periodically with our consumer watchdog group to gain their input on improving enforcement practices and procedures. We'd like to continue with that communication as they have gained a lot of interest in supporting the board and have provided us with a lot of great input that we can take along. Lastly, we continue to meet every, chance that we can with other organizations that have regulatory measures common to the OMBC, such as the AG's office, DOJ, other agencies within or other boards within the Department of Consumer Affairs, such as the Medical Board, BRN, Board of Pharmacy, PAB, and Physical Therapy. Continue to meet with our Public Health Department, our Healthcare Services, the Federation of State Medical Boards, MBOME, and IAMRA, as well as OPSC and our Osteopathic Family Physicians of California. We send a lot of listservs through our associations to throw out any ideas that we might have or any alerts that we have to send out that we gain from either the Department of Healthcare Services or Department of Public Health. It's been a great opportunity to make sure that we reach all of our licensees through those means as well. And then lastly, for my update, we are constantly posting content to our social media accounts just to keep our consumers and our stakeholders informed of any changes that may involve legislation or any changes amongst the board with our own internal organization. We continue to stay active on those accounts as well as providing information through our newsletter. That concludes my report, Ms. Pines.
Thank you, Ms. Calderon. I appreciate it. Are there any comments from members of the board? Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Any comments from moderator? Are there any comments from the public online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a comment on agenda item 8, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. And it looks like we do have a couple requests. Give me one moment. First, I have Michelle Montserrat Ramos. And Michelle, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning. My name is Michelle Montserrat Ramos, and I'm with Consumer Watchdog. We would like to congratulate Board President Pines on her reappointment to the board. We appreciate your work and look forward to continuing to work with you. We're also looking forward to the public meetings where you will dedicate one agenda item to topics that are of interest to the public. I mentioned this at the Medical Board of California meeting, but I also feel the need to mention it here. We like to wish Kathleen Nichols well on her retirement. Kathleen was very consumer focused and did a great job of balancing the needs of the public with the concerns of physicians. She was a go-to person for families and was always willing to respond to questions and concerns. She'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next, I have Holly Macris, and Holly, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning. This is Holly Macris, Osteopathic Physicians and Surgeons of California's Executive Director. I apologize I can't be in person today. Lots of things going on. I just want to reiterate how wonderful our relationship is with the OMBC, and we truly appreciate all of the interaction and opportunity we have to engage. Thank you for trusting us with your communications to the membership and reaching out to the licensees that are part of our group. So thank you for that. President Pines, we're super excited that you've been reappointed to the board and look forward to our continued work together with you. And we're also really excited for Erica and Machiko to attend our annual convention at the end of February and for the presentation that Erica will be doing with 2 of our members, former past president and dean of one of our colleges, on navigating professional identity in medicine. We're super excited for this panel, and the membership is starting to really get excited about it as well. So thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment at this time.
Great. Thank you all for your comments. And I just want to make a comment about Ms. Nichols, that she really was great. I mean, sometimes she got so many punches. I don't know how she took it all, especially when I was on the medical board. But I want to recognize her and the dedication that she put into the work to serve this state and the people who are represented in this state. And I want to thank her and hope that she has a wonderful retirement. We are now going to move on to agenda item number 9, a possible action to revise the board's 2024 to 2028 strategic plan with our executive director, Erica Calderon. And this sort of came about given the new administration and the evolving changes in healthcare, we felt it was important for us to reevaluate, to review our strategic plan to determine whether there was any adjustments that we needed to make. So the executive committee, met to discuss and review along with Ms. Calderon, and now we are going to present those outcomes from that discussion and have you all weigh in. So Ms. Calderon.
Thank you, Ms. Pines. So this is agenda item number 9. We also have agenda item 9A for your reference so that you can follow along with some of the changes that we are recommending that you adopt today. So this report is intended to provide the members of the Osteopathic Medical Board with an update on OMBC's 2024-2028 strategic plan and have the members review and approve suggested updates from OMBC's executive committee. We are going to request a motion. It would be a motion to approve the proposed changes to the board's strategic plan and authorize the executive director to amend the plan as proposed or further amended by the members today and work with the Department of Consumer Affairs Publication Office to publish a new version. As you are aware, the OMBC adopted its 2024-2028 strategic plan on September 23rd, 2023. As you know, this plan is a written document that outlines an organization's long-term goals and strategies it will use to achieve them and the actions needed to implement those strategies, essentially in our case, serving as a roadmap to OMBC's future direction over a defined period of 4 years. It includes elements like our vision, our mission, our core values, our objectives, and specific action plans to measure our success. DCA Solid Team has provided the OMBC with an action plan tracker that allows the OMBC to track its progress through an Excel spreadsheet and allowing us to have a visual of those completed objectives. The chart listed below shows that OMBC staff has already completed 100% of its overall administrative objectives, 67% of its regulation and legislative objectives, 100% of its enforcement objectives, 74% of its licensure objectives, and 56% of its outreach and communications objectives, and each goal item within the first year of implementing our strategic plan. So some of the updates that we have are general updates, which are starting with page number 3. It would be updating all of our board member names and their positions. Second update would be updating our current director's name. So those are for page 3. Page 5, we have to include the words OMBC's amended strategic plan and also include a word that will identify shall update the board's president message. Sorry, shall include it in the board's president's message. And then on page number 7, our first addition that we're looking to add is item 1.6 would be to update our board members on a monthly basis with an internal monthly newsletter to discuss what projects we have going on between one board meeting to the next board meeting. So between quarterly board meetings. And then the second update on that same page would be to replace some wording. And that would be to establish a process for the regular review of regulations in the future with establish a process for a regular review of legislation impacting the board on a state and federal level. So we want to track not just legislative that impacts us at the state level, but nationally. And then we have a minor change to page number 9. And it was just the wrong wording was used. Instead of using statutory, we need to use regulatory. So at this time, I think we can pass it over back to you, Ms. Pines, to see if there's board discussion, if there's any additional items that we would like to add to any of these categories, we can. It is open for discussion. Like mentioned, these were amended recommendations from the executive committee, but as a board, you can make any changes to any items that you would like to see. And we can open it up for discussion today.
Okay, board members, is there anyone? Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at goal 2.2. And I'm wondering if we would like to characterize OMBC's role as that of, quote, protecting the scope of practice, unquote. That way, or if we would like to say a little bit more about that or say it slightly differently. Because I think we mean more than just simply protecting the scope of practice.
And we're looking at page number 7, item 2.2.
Right. Goal number 2.2, page 7.
Board members, any additional comments with regards to the recommendation from Mr. Cummings?
Mr. Cummings, would you repeat that? I'm sorry, I was looking for the page.
Yeah, I'm looking at goal 2.2, and it says the goal is establishing a legislative day for board staff to meet with legislators and inform legislators and the public of OMBC's role and to protect the scope of practice.
Yeah, Himesh Patel here. I think I agree. I would maybe add protect and clarify. I don't know how you feel about that. Some sort of verbiage to provide clarity in what DOs do, I think would be a good addition.
Mr. Cummings, is that your intention? Was that your intended rewording statement, or was it something different?
I think it was along those lines. I just, I guess I was thinking something like that would communicate that it's about protection of the public, and when we talk about scope of practice, it's kind of within that context. I mean, we all know that, but the goal wouldn't be simply to protect the scope of practice. It would be to ensure that the scope of practice is consistent with protection of the public. I mean, I'm not really sure what the executive committee was thinking of.
Yeah, I'm trying to get
the
the wording that we would put here so that when we go for a motion, we have the exact wording that we're looking for. I don't know if there's anyone else that wants to step into this conversation at this point with some language.
Does anybody remember when this was written, what the thought?
So this is about Hill Day. And I think the thought process behind it, if I remember correctly, was really to just keeping in mind what we do as a profession. I was going to suggest maybe OMBC's role to protect the scope of practice, keeping in mind consumer protection.
We could. I mean, I think the context for some of that discussion on Hill Day had to do with scope creep and possible risks to the public. So it was kind of within that context. It wasn't like a standalone ask to, protect the scope of practice.
Do you have any thoughts on how you would like that reworded, John?
Actually, I was thinking of it kind of more generally and thinking of the legislative day kind of reflecting the language that was in 2.1. So I was thinking of replacing with something like, and to ensure the board has a voice in the legislative process.
I want to move to our board's attorney to see if there's some thought that he has around this languaging based on the conversation you're hearing right now.
Remind me where we're at again?
It's 2.2.
2.2.
So it's this last section
Yeah.
where role and to protect the scope of practice. So our goal, we have a lot of unlicensed activity happening. And so that goes on with that.
Yeah. I think where the discussion is at right now is fine. Just see what the board members decide, if they decide on anything.
Do we want to take some time to come up with go to the next item and see?
That would be my suggestion for want of another one.
Okay,
And that would
do
be,
you want to rephrase that again?
okay, so
John?
I guess,
Let's-
do you want
so
me
we
to
can
phrase
take a
the
look.
term in terms of a motion or just discussional?
Discussion
Okay.
still, and then just, so rephrase how you would like to see 2.2.
2.2, okay.
Redone, yeah.
So one suggestion would be to replace 2.2 with establish a legislative day for board staff to meet with legislators and inform legislators and the public of OMBC's role and to ensure the board has a voice in the legislative process.
Himesh Patel here. I think I like that because it makes it a little bit more broad in general because, subsequent Hill days, we may have different things we want to talk about.
So you want to remove the final part of that statement to protect the scope of practice?
Right, and broaden it so that we're talking about our voice in the legislative process more generally.
Okay. So, Ms. Calderon, do you want to read that statement? We don't have to read the whole thing. I think just reading from the point of OMBC's role.
So John is proposing establish a legislative day for board staff to meet with legislators and inform legislators and the public of OMBC's role and to ensure that the board has a voice in the legislative process.
That's correct.
And legal is fine with that change.
Legal's fine. Okay. Okay.
May I offer a
Sure.
revision of that a little bit? Establish an OMBC legislative day for board staff or board representatives to meet with lawmakers and, to John's point, highlight distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession and ensure the board's active voice in legislation affecting its scope and practice. Didn't you want
That's,
John to incorporate something about
but
the philosophy or like what we do? I thought you asked for that.
Could you read that again?
Or was it Dr. Patel? I don't
No,
know. One of you.
I think that's a good point, and it adds a little bit more richness to that statement. But if you could maybe rephrase it, and then we can think about it, or no, digest it is what I'm trying to say. But I liked it.
Rephrase it or restate it?
Just restate it, not
Restate it,
rephrase it.
okay. Establish an OMBC legislative day for board representatives to meet with lawmakers, comma, highlight the distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession, comma, and ensure the board's active voice in legislation affecting its scope and practice.
Something like that.
yeah, I like that. I think it's clear and encompasses what Mr. Cummings was looking for and Dr. Patel. And it's really clear that we are having a specific day, and not that we potentially could be joining some other board on their day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you read the last part after to ensure?
And ensure the board's active voice in legislation affecting its scope and practice.
Yeah, I like that.
You like it? Okay, we like that. Okay. Perfect. Okay, great. I think we are in agreement. Other board members? Are you? Okay, I think everybody, we like that. Okay, we're going to have you read that for the record when we come to make our motion. So we're going to move on to any of the other updates and changes that were mentioned.
I have one more question. Sorry.
Yeah.
At the beginning, Ms. Calderon stated that we're making some changes to the strategic plan. And I think on page 23, oh, sorry, 23 of the main document. Page, yes, 23 of the main document, agenda item 9. It mentions somewhere, sorry, I was typing notes to myself. I didn't highlight this. It mentions the core values of the OMBC.
So that's on page 6 of the strategic plan. We have our mission listed there along with our vision and then the core values at the bottom of the page.
Oh, there it is. I'm sorry. I page wrong. Page 6. Page 6. Page 7? Or no?
If you're looking at the main doc, the big packet.
With the circles?
Yeah.
Oh, there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry, I was looking for, I saw core values listed and then I just sort of skipped past the image and was looking in the body of the text and couldn't find that.
Yeah, so just to reiterate, the values that this board voted on was accountability, consumer protection, collaboration, competency, diversity, equity, and inclusion as one, effective leadership, and then innovation.
Does that then get broken down? Those are broad / vague. Does that get subcategorized somewhere into, or like consumer protection or accountability? What does that, that's like a wet blanket.
I think it's what you're keeping in mind when you, in every aspect of your role as a board member, these are your values that you're keeping in mind in every decision that you are making. So thinking of any projects that the board might have, any regulation that you're looking at, you're keeping your values that you came up with in mind to conduct business for the board. And diversity, equity, and inclusion, that has been adopted within the department as a core value for DCA.
Okay.
Okay, are there any other comments, addendums that we want to make? Oh, yes, Ms. Thorfinn.
I want to go back to the changes to the legislative wording. I'm a little concerned with Dr. Lockman's wording that would narrow our focus, since the board is about protection of public safety. And I think the import of that particular objective is the legislative voice, not so much the scope of practice. So to add the scope of practice to the legislative voice narrows it and doesn't make it clear that it's the board's voice protecting public safety. So I know I'm just staff, but that's, there's a sensitivity between the board's role in protecting public safety and the profession's role. And so that's what I'm concerned about. And I think John's original wording was more general and doesn't get into that kind of confusion about what is the board trying to achieve legislatively. Scope of practice is something we talk about, but public safety is more of the central role in any context, whatever the issue is. And that didn't seem to, it was too qualified to tied to scope of practice, so.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. So with that in mind, let's review the statement and see where we need to make that change.
Dr. Lockman, would you like to restate it for us?
I'm reading the original one to try to figure out how to get that out. I can restate what I written. I'll restate what I had written. Establish an OMBC. Please stop me when you get to the part you don't like. Establish an OMBC legislative day for board representatives to meet with lawmakers. Highlight the distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession, and ensure the board's active voice in legislation affecting its scope and practice. Is it that last sentence?
It's the affecting scope. It's the affecting scope of practice. That's the only, so that end with legislative voice.
But if not the board, then who otherwise is a gatekeeper to affect our of our scope and practice?
The Air Trade Association.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree that our main goal is to protect public safety. But we discuss and frequently contribution to legislative language on scope of practice.
Yes.
How is this different?
How is this? I think because this is a strategic plan statement, which is sort of an overarching goal, words matter in terms of the message we convey. And public safety is not in that word, that sentence, but scope of practice is. So it sort of suggests that we're protecting scope of practice.
Yeah.
You are correct in terms of the positions the board has taken on legislation. It has taken positions on scope of practice. But the reason is because of public safety and our concern that the training of physicians is higher than whatever a change of scope of practice would be. And the import is not so much the scope, it is the effect on public safety. So I just don't want somebody reading this document to say, oh, the board is protecting scope of practice rather than the board is protecting public safety, because the reason we take positions on scope of practice is the public safety. I think John was mentioning that that's kind of the underarching foundation of scope of practice. And so I'm just worried with a goal statement, it's all about message. And I don't want somebody to say, oh, we're just defending the scope of practice.
Well, what if we add to ensure public safety through the board's active voice in
That would be great.
So we don't shorten it, but lengthen it, but with the specific intent of
Yes.
public safety protection.
Yes, and then there's the distinction. So even though we may agree, say, with the OPSC on scope of practice bills, and we're aligned in opposing bills on that issue, we're coming from it from a public safety perspective. They can also come from a public safety perspective, but they're also coming from it from a professional perspective. And that's a distinction. Despite our close relationship, we need to keep separating out and communicating. Public safety is what our mission is. So I like your suggestion with adding public safety, then it makes it clear, what is our voice doing? It's supporting public safety. So that would be a great
So I
revision.
sure, do you want me to reread the whole thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like you to replace the word lawmaker back to the word legislators.
Legislate, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so with the revisions, establish an OMBC legislative day for board representatives to meet with legislators, highlight the distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession, and ensure public safety through the board's active voice in legislation affecting its scope and practice.
I don't like the scope of practice still in there.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, so you want scope of practice completely written?
Yeah, from you added public safety, but after the legislative voice, just end.
Scope of practice would only be one.
It would only be one aspect of public safety that we'd be advocating for, and there are other aspects, like the AI bill was something that was definitely public safety was the foundation, but that's not scope of practice.
Okay.
So that's why I wanted to be broader than scope of practice for our voice. And adding scope of practice to that sentence narrows our voice and sort of our.
Okay, so again, now. Vision 19. Establish an OMBC legislative day for board representatives to meet with legislators, highlight the distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession, and ensure public safety through the board's active voice in legislation.
Yes.
Great.
I think that captures it.
I do too.
Okay. That's the amended change. When I go to the motion, I'll have them read it one more time when we get there. Thank you, Dr. Lockman. We appreciate that. Collective efforts. Thank you. Are there any considered changes to anything else in the strategic plan that we have, that Ms. Calderon has talked about today? No? That was the only one?
I actually do have one more, Ms. Pines. As we went back to our values, under diversity, equity, and inclusion, accessibility was left out. And that is a common, another part of that plan that DCA has adopted. So I don't know if you would like to add it, this would be the time to do that. So diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion.
I'm okay with that addition. It falls in line with how we're governed overall. Any other board members have comments on that addition?
Not on that addition. With regard to values, Do we need to state, I mean, certainly it's important, but do we need to state effective leadership? It just seems like a given. Of course we want effective leadership.
But that's not a given. It's not really, it's supposed to be a given, but you can have leadership and it's poorly done. And that's what we were about. And we've had that on this board. So this is about, that's why we actually put that qualifier in front of it. We may not be there at this point, but there has been a time.
Okay.
Any other comments? Okay. We're good? All right. So the options for the motion are adopting the amended revisions that were presented by Ms. Calderon. I'm going to have Dr. Lockman read the amended change to 2.2. Dr. Lockman, could you read that? Okay.
Would you like me to help you on the motion, Ms. Pines?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion would be to approve the proposed changes to the board's 2024-2028 strategic plan and authorize the executive director to amend the plan as proposed and as further amended to include the change on page 6, adding accessibility to diversity, equity, accessibility, and inclusion. And the change made on page 7, 2.2, as stated.
Establish an OMBC legislative day for board representatives to meet with legislators, highlight the distinct philosophy and contributions of the osteopathic medical profession, and ensure public safety through the board's active voice in legislation.
And to allow the executive director to work with the Department of Consumer Affairs Publication Office to publish a new version of our strategic plan.
Perfect. That is our motion. Can I have a motion?
I so move.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Are there any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from members of the public online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on agenda item 9, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. It looks like I have a request from Holly Macris, and Holly, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, thank you. Terry, thanks for bringing it back to what the OMBC is there for. I appreciate you all having this really thoughtful conversation about what that particular line of your goal 2 means. I hate to ask the question, but is there any chance that you could put that and display that new wording on the screen? There was a lot that went on in that, and I was trying to capture it all, but it was back and forth, and it'd be super helpful for us to see what the exact wording of that particular motion is. Is that possible?
Hi, Holly, this is Erica. We will be updating our strategic plan and posting that. After this, part of the motion was to revise it and publish a new version. So we will have that available to everyone for viewing.
I understand that, but is there not an opportunity to ensure that what is being stated is actually clear to the public as well? Because the scope of practice was an issue, and I appreciate that you all took it out, and Terry for making sure the board understood where you all start and where we start. But I just want to make sure that we're all reading it correctly, and the fact that it's just been verbally stated to everybody and that you all haven't had a chance to absolutely look at the wordage just concerns me a little bit. But if that can't happen, I totally understand.
And then you could try. I got it. Yeah, chat if that's available. You let me know on the public. I, here, let me.
We're going to try to see if we can type it up for you, Holly, and then share it. But we're going to move on to our next agenda and we'll come back to this. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. I next have Michelle Montserrat Ramos, and Michelle, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good morning. I am Michelle Montserrat Ramos, and I'm with Consumer Watchdog. I'd like to thank Ms. Thorfinson for your contributions and for ensuring that public safety and consumer protection is emphasized in each aspect of the strategic plan. Thank you.
Moderator, is there anyone else making that comment?
Apologies. Yes, this is the moderator. Looks like I do have another request. Individual logged in as Tracy. Tracy, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I have a quick question. I'm sorry. Are we on agenda 8? I mean 11.
This is the
No.
moderator. We are on agenda item 9.
Okay, I'm on the wrong agenda. Okay, I'm so
No worries.
sorry.
Thank you. All right, and this is the moderator. It looks like we have no further requests for public comment. In the meantime, I did open up the chat box, and Machiko is going to be typing the verbiage in the chat for members of the public to see. So give her 1 moment to type that up.
Machiko, when you finish with that, we can do a roll call.
Are we to resolve this later?
You should see the verbiage now posted in the public chat.
Great. Machiko, can you do the roll call?
We're going to check for public comment one more time.
Oh, because we're, oh, okay, okay. We're gonna give you a moment to review and we'll come back to public comment. Yeah, but I'm not gonna do it now. Okay. I'll do it.
I think we're ready for.
Oh, okay. So we have put the final wording in chat. And we're going to see if there are any public comments in the room again. And moderator, we're going to open it up for public comments online.
All right, this is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click that raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. And I have Michelle Montserrat Ramos. Michelle, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click that unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, I apologize. I didn't realize my hand was raised again.
No worries. In that case, we'll move on to Holly Macris. And Holly, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak and a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Just want to say thank you. That was very helpful to see it. I'm a visual learner, so that was very helpful for me to see the words on the page. So thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. And this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment. At this time, I will be turning off the chat.
Thank you. Okay, Machiko, let's do a roll call vote.
Gloria Damian.
Aye.
John Clements.
Aye.
Dr. Lockman.
Aye.
Dr. Patel.
Aye.
Denise Pines.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. We are going to move on to agenda item number 10, licensing program update by Machiko Chong, the board's licensing program manager.
Sorry, let me get myself together.
That's okay.
We were having some technical difficulties with WebEx this morning. My apologies. It looks like some of my reports did upload, so what you should see projected on the screen is agenda item 10A, which correlates with my report. So good morning, Madam Board President and board members. Today, I will be going over the licensing statistics and program review for the licensing unit of the board. Attached is 10A and 10B, or attachments 10A and 10B reflect the licensing population and application stats for the first and second quarter of the 2025-26 fiscal year. Currently, there are 17,164 licensed osteopathic physicians and surgeons, 1,695 postgraduate training licenses, 1,701 fictitious name permits, and no temporary osteopathic physicians and surgeons license. Overall, the board has seen There we go. Overall, the board has seen a 27% increase in applications received. There are currently 264 pending initial applications, with 19 of those requesting expedited services. The application breakdown is as follows. 3 applications for postgraduate training licenses, 261 applications for osteopathic physicians and surgeons. And in terms of the expedite service request, we currently have 16 applications for medically underserved areas, 3 applications for military veterans, and no applications for abortion services expedites. In December, the board's postgraduate training license coordinator, Dina Ruprecht, was offered and accepted a promotional opportunity to become an Analyst 2, formerly classified as an Associate Governmental Program Analyst within the licensing unit. In addition to issuing PTLs, Ms. Ruprecht will now be responsible for issuing and canceling fictitious name permits, auditing permit holders within the F&P program, drafting citation and fine documents, and scheduling appeal hearings to remediate permit issues. At the beginning of 2025, enforcement staff assisted in auditing F&P records that were identified as being non-compliant. Permit holders were also educated on maintenance requirements and informed of their options to either terminate or renew permits that had been issued by the board. F&Ps are set to expire annually on December 31st, and notification of expiration is sent to permit holders 90 days before expiration of licensure. Yet numerous applications tend to remain out of compliance. Moving forward, Ms. Ruprecht will conduct annual audits of delinquent permits in February to ensure that permits are brought into compliance. And we are currently undergoing our first audit. We'll be running reports shortly so that we can send reminders out to those permit holders that currently have FNPs with the board. And then at the last board meeting, I highlighted the proposed Breeze VO and VR changes that were requested, which would revise the initial application for fictitious name permits and also update the physician and surgeon's renewal application to accommodate licensee self-certification and the audit of continuing medical education. Both projects and their corresponding BMOs or Breeze maintenance and operation requests have been added to the current project schedule, which is set for release on February 18th. Many of the requested updates had been made and tested during the last project period. However, there were a couple of items that needed tweaking, and in the interest of time, it was agreed that it was best not to rush the release of the final product until the updates requested were completed. And so that's what we're working on right now. And that will conclude my licensing update for the board. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question just about the delinquency and expired. So if 90 days, we are reaching out to people to say, hey, your license is about to expire, and then it expires and you still haven't done anything, do we have some kind of recourse? Meaning, can we charge you more money? Can we charge you like extra fees? Or, because this is crazy. I mean, we're chasing money. We're supposed to be protecting the public. The public's not protected with an expired license. So, I mean, how do we hammer down harder on this so that when we look at these numbers again, that we're seeing maybe 100 people have not done this, not 2,000 people out of 17 practicing or almost practicing physicians, because as what I see is a problem, that as we continue to grow, and if we're growing at a couple thousand licensees a year, this is just only going to get larger if people feel like, hey, you could go like 8 months and not pay your licensing fee. That's just ridiculous to me. I don't know if anyone else on the board feels this way, but clearly you see how I feel about it. I mean, and the reason I feel about it is because I've been seeing this number consistent ever since I've been on the board, and I've been on the board now 4 years. And it's almost like this is a running joke to the people who do this. And I bet if we were to pull a report, we probably will see it's, that 80% are the same people.
I can help answer that question, Ms. Pines. Is actually something that's been on my radar for quite some time. I can tell you that this is a trend not just within our board, but other boards as well. Manpower, staffing needs, can help address this area. We just don't have the staffing to really audit delinquent licenses. There could be a lot of reasons. We hear from mainly is we forgot. We forgot. We didn't get the renewal. We forgot or ignored the renewal. There is a delinquent fee that is applied to those, an additional $25. Is that what it is, Machiko, for a delinquent fee? $25? That's applied, which is minimal, but there is some repercussion for renewing delinquently. But it is something that we can dedicate more time to with the right staffing. Machiko mentioned that we now have looked into the F&P world. If you guys remember a couple of, probably about a year ago, the enforcement unit did a whole audit on our F&P applications, on our permits. And what we learned out of that was that licensees did not know that this was a renewable license that they had to maintain. They thought it was a one-time deal and not something that they had to renew on an annual basis. So that was one of the things that we try to do in educating them that it is a renewable license. In that area, we are sending a notice 3 months in advance. What we are going to be implementing soon is an additional notice after the renewal period closes. So it closes on December 31st. So 2 weeks later, we're going to be sending another notice via email to those individuals that hold that permit letting them know, as of today, we have not received your renewal. You either need to send a cancellation notice, because that does happen. Some places close business and they just don't, notify the board. Or you have to submit your renewal within the next 2 weeks. Part of that, we now have authority to issue citations for those individuals that operated with a delinquent license. Same thing on the licensing aspect with their full physician and surgeon license. If they operate delinquently, we have the ability to issue citations. We just, in order to figure those individuals out that are operating delinquently, we would have to pull a report and notify each an individual. I believe it was 1,900 on here, right, that were quoted. So it would require us to notify each one, find out what's their situation, if they are practicing, or if they retired, as an example, because that happens too. We don't have the retired license status yet. So a lot of individuals that are retiring are just letting their license go delinquent because they know that after 5 years of it being delinquent, it cancels on its own. So there's different circumstances for different individuals, but it would require manpower for us to do an audit. Not to say that we can't implement, other reminders, but, we already give them 3 months in advance. I know that the associations like OPSC has mentioned to us that they also send out reminders on their own. They keep track of their expiration dates as well. So for those individuals that are participants of the association, they're also helping us by reminding them to renew. So there are efforts in place, but as I mentioned, it's circumstances based. We will have to contact each one individually, find out what their status is, if they are actively practicing. We can probably do educational letters at first, move it on to a citation and fine, because we do have the authority. But it would obviously be an issue that enforcement will inherit. And given the state of our caseloads, probably nothing that we can implement right now to keep us above water. So with Dina's position, I do want to elaborate a little bit on that. It wasn't a new position. She was a staff services analyst 1, handling our postgraduate training license. And she, out of the entire year, there is some downtime with her position. So she was assisting us temporarily with FMPs and other projects on the board, and we decided that it would benefit us, instead of having the manpower from enforcement coming, that we would upgrade her position so that she can now audit this on a continuous basis. Something that we identify that she can take on. And so every year, the plan is to do a report to identify all of those FMPs that are delinquent and start that process of communication. But we're looking at a difference between 1,900 and 500. So the caseload for 500 on FMPs is absorbable right now, and that's what we identified to at least help in that area. But it is something that we can work towards creating in the future an audit person for the delinquent license.
When you say the future, what does that mean? Like when?
When we get more staff. When we can bring in some more revenue and yes.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm ignoring it. What I want to see is every single one of these people sent a citation letter, like immediately, however you guys want to interpret that. And let's get the ball rolling. In our newsletter, we're gonna post something like, this is, we're not taking it anymore, in a nice way, and get this reversed. This is ridiculous. That's all I'm gonna say. You can clearly see I'm very upset. I don't like people practicing on people and their license isn't active. There's something wrong to me about that. And our fees are not expensive. I mean, we haven't even had an increase in 30 years. This is ridiculous. They're not paying a lot of money. I don't care if you're in a low-income community, you're not paying a lot of money for your license. So I've said it. You can see I'm very angry about this. Are there any board members that have any comments?
Yep, Himesh Patel, just to add, President Pines, I agree with your sentiment, but I don't want you to think all 2,000 of these expired licensees are practicing, because if the physician is practicing in a large organization, they are not allowed to work. So there are safeguards in place. And I know the majority of physicians, or maybe the majority are working for large organizations, but there are smaller, independently run practices where, yes, people may be practicing with an expired license, but I don't want this number to reflect that 100% of these expired and delinquent licensees are practicing, because there are safeguards in place at large organizations. And to add, and to kind of prevent this from happening, as a licensee, it can be a slow process to get the license renewed. We've made great strides, which I'm happy about. We've gone from paper to electronic, but we could do better. We could send maybe text blasts. I know we're doing a 90-day reminder, but I mean, speaking as a busy physician, if I'm getting something 90 days before, I'm not gonna probably remember it, until later. And so I'm not trying to make excuses, but I'm just trying to give my perspective as a very busy physician that this is important. And my organization where I work, they also send reminders, but we could probably do better by maybe sending a text blast. Maybe our method of reminding isn't the best. Mail is outdated, email is even getting outdated. People are always on their phones. So if we can send a text blast 90 days before, 60 days before, 30 days before, I think the message will get across. But I think 90 days, a single reminder is not enough.
So, I'm sorry. The only thing I have for that, Dr. Patel, is unfortunately, physicians do not keep their information updated. As you recall, we recently had an issue with not having any email address information updated for physicians. So we made that a requirement for them to provide us with that information. Yet and still, it's something that's not updated regularly. And so you would imagine how they feel about providing their telephone number.
No, I agree with you.
Text blast. I'm not even sure if that's
Just an idea though, but.
It's not something that we have the ability to collect through statute. Our address of record is what we collect. Not to say we can't try, like Machiko said, we do have it. I mean, they can even provide a confidential phone number and a public number, but it's up to the licensee if they want to provide that to us. We can definitely send out more alerts. These will be through email because we are requiring email now. And so we can definitely send, more alerts. I know that the renewal cycle for both of these licenses start within 90 days. We can do a reminder at, 60 days and then again at 30 days and maybe even at 2 weeks. It's totally doable. We can do that. Again, we are going to have those individuals that are, going to ignore it, but, we can try. We definitely can try on our side to fix the issue. And again, with the retired license status coming, I think some of those delinquencies are going to be reflected as retired pretty soon. We estimated a good, 20% of that population is retired. We get a lot of individuals that move out of state as well temporarily that have licensures in other states and will put their license. We try to educate them to put it on in an active status versus letting it go delinquent so that, it doesn't reflect that, negatively, because that's what it's reflecting negatively right now. So there are some things that we can work on and we'll definitely implement. And thank you for your input, Ms. Pines. And we'll keep you appraised on how it affects us internally because, with enforcement, I know that that's a caseload that they cannot add to their plate right now. But on the licensing side, we can get a little bit creative.
Okay, let's do that.
I also say this seems like a perfect use and opportunity for AI to simply scan and do it for you. This is not something we should have to have a human being sitting there looking through every file. If the files are in electronic format, and it certainly requires a human eye to review it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that could be done in 30 seconds. to provide provide a list of delinquent licensees for payment, or maybe their CME is not up to date, or maybe we have incomplete data, and provide 5 different lists of potential retirees, provide a list of practice of licensees who are over the age of 68. They might be in the retired category. They might not be checking their email because they don't care because they're retired.
Or even an input that is, how long has this not been paid? Because then that gives us the insight immediately.
Thank you. Another effort that we're trying to look at is to see if we can take our emails that we have collected and add them to our listservs, just so that we can start using that as an educational tool to send these types of communication to all of them all at once. So that is something that we're looking into as well. I do want to say that with the renewals, Dr. Patel, effective October 1st, if you guys remember, our regulation went into effect. And I did ask staff to not verify CMEs as of that day, because we would be out of compliance with the regulation, even though we haven't fully implemented that process of the self-certification, but that has changed. So they're not spending time on verifying them. All of the licensees are being told to keep them for record in case the audit, begins, when the audit begins. So they're not waiting the 15 days now to get renewed. We're renewing them. We made that choice to do that in the midst of working with the Breeze team to implement all of the changes for the self-certification. So at this moment, there is no backlog with renewals. So I wanted to go ahead and also address that.
I wanted to just add, I think, Dr. Patel, your example of a text is excellent. But I want to hone in on the fact that most of our communication email that's done through Breeze right now doesn't have a text component. It would be something we would have to ask DCA, since it's a shared kind of technology, to see if that's possible. But right now, what we try to leverage is Breeze. Put in a letter, like the notification letter that goes out, isn't sent out by individual staff. It's initially created and then it's sent out automated through Breeze. But Breeze doesn't have a text component. So we are limited, as everybody that uses Breeze, from not having a text component. But it is a good question to ask OAS. What other things are possible, because text probably is the best reminder given the email, but we are still in the email world in terms of what Breeze is capable of doing.
Thank you. Are there any other comments by members of the board?
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm looking at the last page of agenda item 10. It's the application report. And I'm looking at the applications by physicians and surgeons. And the last column is the year-over-year change, and it looks like it's down 18%. I don't know if that fits within the normal variation of quarter to quarter or half year to half year, or if there's something else going on, and I'm wondering if we know if something else is going on.
It's just a fluctuation with regards to the licensing. So years ago, it was based off of a even odd renewal. So if you had an even birth month, you renewed in an even year. If you had an odd birth month, you renewed in an odd year. And then a few years ago, we changed to just renewal on spot. So if you were issued a license March 3rd of this year, then March of 2 years later, so March of 2028, that's crazy, you renew your license. So it just fluctuates by month. There's no rhyme or reason. It's just based off of the licensees that we have in our population.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other comments by board members? Any comments by members of the public in the room? Okay, come on up.
Hi folks, my name's Ralph Gray. So I heard you guys discussing this license issue regarding people not wanting to submit their documents on time and so and so. So I'll pose it as a rhetorical question and you guys can take it as is, but When you receive your driver's license information, when it's due for renewal, DMV sends that information out approximately 3 months in advance. And it is your responsibility as an individual to submit that document and pay for your fees and do everything you need to do, or else you are not permitted to drive in California. They don't text. They're not going to call you. They give you one letter. Now, the second half to that question, again, I'll pose it as rhetorical. If that person decides to renew their driver's license late, they have to pay late fee to do that. So I've heard more excuses than I've heard, let's come down with, as an individual, what is this person going to do? That physician chooses to practice medicine in California. It is not a right. They can choose to not do it. But if they choose to do it, then they should be able to conform with the policies and guidelines that are set forth. I'm pretty sure everybody can agree with that. I'm pretty sure the general public agrees with that when they in turn also have to submit for their driver's license, passports, registration for your vehicle. These are all things, folks, that are not, mandated to be issued to us. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ralph, and thanks for that very simple, that we all in this room, including doctors, can relate to DMV, right? And what happens? You don't have your tag, you get pulled over by the police, you get cited, there's a whole process on top of you're paying extra fees with DMV. And DMV is not charging $25. They are charging 40% of whatever your fee is for being late. And it goes up and up and up and up. And I know it because one time I forgot to pay.
And I will say with
And they
DMV,
didn't care my excuse. Okay.
with DMV's online system, they do send out, because I renew online every year, they send out reminders, but it's by request. Now, with us having a COT system, which is commercial off the shelf, there's only so much that we can do in Breeze. That doesn't affect all of the other boards. But like Erica said, we can try and send out more notices within that 90-day period to ensure that it reminds everyone.
Okay, let's see if we can have that number changed by our next reporting. All right, I'm going to move to the moderator, because I've already asked about people in the room. The moderator, are there any, any members of the public online that would like to make a comment on the licensing? I know we've talked a lot, so the licensing item number 10.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment for agenda item 10, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Great. So we are moving pretty steadfast, and my thought is that we skip a traditional lunch, that we take maybe about 15 minutes and resume and go through the rest of the day into adjournment. Does anyone have any problems with that? Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take 15 minutes. It is 10:55 now, so at 11:10, we'll return back for those who are in the room. We'll return back at that time. 1 minute.
Yes.
Great. We have returned back and we are just going to do a roll call.
Corey Damian,
Here.
John Cummins,
Here.
Dr. Lockman,
Present.
Dr. Patel,
Me? Oh, here, sorry.
Madam Board President Pines.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Okay, next up is agenda item number 11, enforcement program updates by Christy Liverato, the board's enforcement analyst, and I promised I would not do what I did at the last one. I'll be gentle. Christy?
Good morning, President Pines, OMBC board members. My name is Christy Libermento. I'm the Enforcement Program Manager, and I have the updates for you here regarding the enforcement program for quarter 2 of fiscal year 25-26. This is a report that updates you on statistics and activity by enforcement staff. Enforcement staff continue to work hard on all enforcement-related matters. During quarter 2, as a unit, we focused on age cases, meeting regularly with staff, both myself and Executive Director Erica Calderon. During these meetings, we focused on sending quality of care cases for review to a medical consultant and forwarding to HQIU as necessary for further investigation. In addition to focusing on aged cases, statistics report an increase from quarter 1 to quarter 2 in administrative actions and complainant interviews conducted. Effective October 1, 2025, the board was granted additional citation authority for all violations of the Practice Act. The additional authority will allow the board to issue more administrative citations after enforcement review of complaints, which in the past may have been closed without action because we didn't have the authority to issue citations for certain violations, and the violations did not rise to the level of formal discipline. During quarter 2, 8 administrative citations were issued by board staff. Also during quarter 2, 22 complainant interviews were offered. 11 were completed, 6 had no response, and the remaining 5 are pending as the interview notices were just mailed in December. For statistics, please refer to attachment 11A, which covers the enforcement program's total numbers report by the end of quarter 2 for fiscal year 25-26. Performance measure 1 covers the amount of consumer complaints, arrests, and convictions received. So far this fiscal year, we have received a total of 630 complaints and 12 arrests/conviction notices, a significant increase of an overall 25% of total complaints and arrest/conviction notices in comparison to fiscal year of last year. The increase in complaints received can still be attributed to the board's outreach efforts and the increase in licensing population. Performance measure 2 is the average number of days it takes for our intake analysts to initiate complaints and acknowledge receipt. The target for this performance measure is 10 days, and we are at 5 days year to date. Performance measure 3 is the average number of days it takes to complete investigations and enforcement action for cases that are not referred to the Attorney General's office for formal discipline. Case aging here fluctuates greatly because it takes an average of all cases, and 1 or 2 very complicated cases can skew these numbers drastically. These numbers include the timeline for desk and formal investigations. The target rate for PM3 is 360 days. Our average is at 222 days. Although this is a bit higher from this time of last fiscal year, the slight increase can be attributed to the increase in formal investigations. Last year at this time, the board had 91 formal investigations pending, and this year we are at 134 active formal investigations, which is a 47% increase. Performance measure 4 is the average number of days it takes to complete investigations and enforcement actions that are transmitted to the Attorney General's office for formal disciplinary action. Case aging in this category is at 759 days, which is down from 1,027 days, a decrease in 26%. For quarter 2 of fiscal year 25-26, the board continues to be well under its performance measures for 3 of its performance measures. As previously reported, performance measure 4, unfortunately, the board has less control over, as this measure takes into consideration timelines from the Attorney General's office, respondents' legal representatives, and the Office of Administrative Hearings. Currently, the enforcement program has 733 pending enforcement cases. 134 of those cases are pending formal investigations, and we have 20 cases pending at the Attorney General's office. The remaining 599 cases are split between the enforcement analysts. Year to date, enforcement staff have filed 9 accusations, 1 petition to revoke probation, issued 4 public letters of reprimand, placed 3 licensees on probation, issued 3 cease practice orders, and issued 1 automatic suspension order. Additionally, 5 probationers have completed probation, and the board issued 2 orders accepting the surrender of a license and ordered 3 revocations. 9 administrative citations have been issued as well. I've included a 5-year comparison chart for your review of complaints received and discipline imposed starting from fiscal year 2020, 2021 through 24/2025. And that chart is there for your review.
Oh, that is sweet.
No action is requested by board staff, by board members, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I know I said I wasn't going to say anything, but I have to. So I'm just sort of looking at this double increase from 2020 to kind of 2025. I'm just going to use that as the frame. And so we've doubled, and yet our accusations have not. And so I'm just sort of curious at the kinds of complaints that are coming in, this doubling of complaints that's not leading to any actions. And so, and if you can't at this meeting, definitely at the next meeting, I would like you to report on the categories these complaints are sort of filtering into, and what are they? Are they just, I showed up at the doctor and waited too long. The doctor wasn't friendly. The front desk wasn't friendly. I'm just trying to understand why we have doubling of complaints, but not doubling of actions taken.
I can help in this area, Ms. Pines. I knew that question was going to come up. So let me see if I can try to explain, the thought process behind this and try to see if we can look at the trend of what's happened in the last 5 years. So if you guys can refer to that chart that Christy provided on the last page of her report that shows the numbers from 2020, 2021, all the way through 2025, 2026. We have not posted what we've done in the last 2 quarters. First of all, the 2025 was a breakdown from July 1st of 2024 all the way through June 30th of 2025, and then the new fiscal year begins. So the reflection of the citations are not showing up right there. In the first 2 quarters, like Christy mentioned, we've already issued 8 citations. That is from the date that we were given the expansion of authority, October 1st to today. 8 citations have been issued. So we'll start with that in the past, like Christy mentioned, some of those cases did not rise to the level of discipline, yet we couldn't issue anything. We would issue educational letters and that's it. So now you're going to start seeing a lot more citations, and this is for minor violations such as record keeping, failure to renew their license, failure to have a F&P permit, aiding and abetting potentially the unlicensed practice of medicine, unlicensed activity. We can now take action on those individuals that are practicing and, advertising that they are osteopathic physicians. We will now be able to take action on that. So you'll start seeing those coming in soon. 2021, 2022, you all know that I started during that time, and the beginning of 2022, 2023, that's when you saw the rise in level of accusations. So that was the backlog that I noticed when we were coming, when I came in, and we addressed immediately. So we try to salvage as much cases that we still had statute and sending them over and asking for expedited accusations. Now, in the last 2 years, we're seeing that trend come down. But what I want us to focus on as well is that an investigation takes almost 3 years to complete right now for the board, from initiation all the way through the Attorney General's office, which is why our statute of limitations becomes really important in these cases, because we need to meet that statute. So what we have been working on actively in the desk level all the way through D of I and the AG's office is currently pending. We have, like Christy mentioned, 134 active investigations, which is a 47%, almost double the increase from last fiscal year to this fiscal year. So all of those investigations are at the tail end of formal investigations with D of I. So they're getting ready to be transmitted over to us for either the filing of a citation, a PLR, or formal investigation. We do get closures from time to time because of lack of evidence, but the majority of those cases have already been vetted from a medical consultant's perspective that we have potential violations. And so that increase, that 47%, is still pending, and we're going to be hit hard pretty soon.
Okay.
So, so that's also, what we've been doing in the last couple of years, or I should say maybe a year and a half, is those investigations are going through the process, and then we're going to start seeing those numbers rise again. With the expansion of our authority, we'll be able to handle, again, the lower level. You'll start seeing that, reflected in the citations. In other words, we won't just close them anymore with educational letters. We'll start seeing that happening more. One of the things that we're trying to also utilize as much as possible is our special investigator. She's handling a lot of the DUI cases internally, the first-time offenders. That way, it alleviates D of I from having to also inherit those cases, and they can focus on the real patient harm cases, like the negligence, incompetence, 820 evals. So we do have a lot that's in play right now. We actually have a few ISOs in place that we've implemented, so we're starting to use that authority as well in those cases where we feel that we need to suspend the doctor during the process of the investigation to allow consumer protection to happen. So we're going to start seeing an upward mobility in our statistics.
Okay, great. Do any board members have any comments on the enforcement report? Any comments on what Ms. Calderon just explained to us? Nope. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any members in the audience that have any comments. Moderator, are there any public members online that would like to make a comment at this point on the enforcement report?
This is a moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and I do have a request from Michelle Montserrat Ramos. And Michelle, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
I am Michelle Montserrat Ramos, and I am a consumer watchdog. We are pleased to see the increase in the number of consumer complaints your board has received. A 26% increase is significant. Your board's public outreach definitely made a difference. I receive requests for assistance from the public almost daily. The number of harmed Californians is there. It's just a matter of informing Californians that your board exists. It's also critical to provide resources that will help complainants understand what they need to provide board staff within a complaint that outlines the harm as a medical consultant would view it. Families are not aware of this. We need to determine the information that the public needs to help move their complaints through your enforcement process. It would be helpful to see the number of education letters issued and for what reasons outlined in the enforcement update, and if possible, also 805 reports. We're incredibly pleased to notice the 47% increase in formal board investigations. We started engaging with this board over 3 years ago due to the issues the public was having, not only with filing complaints, but also with seeing their death and long-term harm complaints being closed by the prior administration. We did not give up. We came to this board advocating for issues important to the public, directly related to the complaints that were closed. We feel that the board, and specifically the new administration, is listening to the public and accepting the public's recommendations for change. Thank you.
All right, this is the moderator. Next I have Maria Ibarra Navarrete. And Maria, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, good morning. My name is Maria Ibarra Navarrete. I am from San Jose, a volunteer with Consumers Watchdog. Increasing consumer complaints so far the fiscal year, the amount of consumer complaints received has increased by 26%. We agree that the increase in complaints received is largely due to the board's outreach efforts. We also believe there has been a greater board identification with the public outreach the board conducted last year. Within the region of the state, the community refers to the Osteopathic Medical Board of California and the Osteopathic Medical Board of California only due to the fact that they are the active healthcare providers and leaders who have met your staff and have had the opportunity to ask questions, communicate with them. Public outreach does make a difference. We appreciate the stats you have shared outlining the effort to conduct interviews with complainants before a complaint is closed. It is encouraging to see that with 11 interviews conducted, approximately half of the families are engaging in the essential process. We advocated for the required interviews and firmly believe in the value of these interviews. If there's any way that we can help spread the message to the public of the importance of participating in this interview, we are here to help. Thank you.
All right. This is the moderator. Next, I have individual logged in as Tracy. And Tracy, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tracy. I'm with Consumer Watchdog and Advocate. I would not want another mother to go through what I have gone through, both losing my daughter and my grandson. It was preventable. My daughter worked so hard to take care of herself and her baby. She was so excited to become a mother to Malachi and become a mother to the world. She was 1 month away from graduating from Cal State Bakersfield with her bachelor degree in psychology. She worked very hard. She worked as an occupational therapist for autistic children. My daughter and I had to walk the stage for my daughter on her graduation day to receive her degree. It was incredibly emotional for me and still is. No mother should have to walk the stage for her child. As you know, as a parent, how hard they work. Okay, I know that there are a lot of confusion about the disciplinary action that's going on right now in Bakersfield. A lot of the families, just like mine, came forward to file complaints after mothers and babies either died or were harmed for life, which led to probation and a disciplinary action as 2 mothers and 4 babies. There were other mothers that filed complaints as well. I never thought that I would find myself in this role as an advocate, but here I am. My daughter and my grandson and all the other mothers and babies deserve to live, and one child that survived and deserve to live an independent life right now. I feel bad for the mothers right now who are facing themselves in search of a
Excuse
doctor
me.
right now. I'm sorry.
Excuse me, I just need to interrupt for a second. I think you mentioned an active case, and if you could keep your comments just to a non-active case, that would be great. We don't want to compromise everything that's in motion at the moment. Thank you so much.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I didn't realize I did that. I just feel bad for all the other mothers that are seeking help right now in the community. But anyways, thank you very much.
All right. This is the moderator. It appears there are no further requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. We are going to move to agenda item 12, a presentation by the board's probation program officer and monitor, Ralph Correa.
All right, good morning, board.
Good morning.
My name is Ralph Correa. I'm the Osteopathic Medical Board of California's probation monitor. The following I will report to you folks. As of today's date, there are 31 licensees on active probation. 5 are totally out of state and are currently not receiving credit towards completion of probation. 26 are actively being monitored and are practicing medicine here in California. There are also 2 physicians who have received public letters of reprimand and are being monitored by my office for course activity and for payment for cost recovery. Regarding the review of cases, intake and quarterly reviews are conducted both in person, via Zoom or telephone, with each physician to discuss their specific terms and conditions by me all the time. All information, all documents are analyzed, recorded, documented in a full report, and the Osteopathic Medical Board's probation unit has maintained an effective and thorough accountability of our physicians on probation. Prior to the end of December, we had 2 cease practice orders. Right at the end of December, a 3rd cease practice order was issued, total 3 altogether, on licensees that have violated their probation. In addition, the board has filed 2 petitions for revocation due to probationary issues. Does anybody have any questions or concerns?
Board members, do we have any comments on Mr. Correa's report? Based on what Ms. Calderon has said earlier, it seems like you're going to be busy in a little bit. So we're going to be hearing about some expansion to your list of people you are monitoring soon. Do we have any questions of members of the audience or comments? Moderator, do we have any persons online who would like to make a comment at this moment?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, agenda item 12, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it looks like I do have a request from Maria Ibarra Navarrete. And Maria, you'll be given 3 minutes to speak with a 15-second warning. Please click the unmute me button when the prompt appears on your device.
Hi, yes. Good morning. My name is Maria Ibarra Navarrete. I'm from San Jose, a volunteer with Consumers Watchdog. We see that the 3Cs practice orders have been issued for licenses who have violated their probation. In addition, the board has filed 2 petitions for revocation due to the probationary issues. Can you elaborate on which types of probation violations merited a cease practice order and whether any of the cease practices orders were linked to failing a probationary order due to the substance abuse? Thank you.
All right, and this is the moderator. Appears there are no further requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, thank you so much. We are now going to move to agenda item 13, rulemaking update, and we are joined by Ms. Terry Thorfinson, the board's legislative and regulatory specialist.
Morning, everybody. Unfortunately, I don't have that much to add. We're still for both regulatory package. As if you recall, the last meeting, the board approved splitting out our fee package so that the one going forward is just focusing on fees, since that's what we need to complete sooner rather than later. Updating relevant statutes and regulatory sections, can wait a little bit because they added a lot of delay and complexity. The one that is going forward is the fees, and that is still in the regulatory review with DCA. Budgets has not signed off on that fee package, and our regulatory attorney is still reviewing changes that we made regarding changing the packet to just be singly focused on fees. So that one I can't report it is moving, but it's not necessarily moving out of DCA yet to go on to agency and be able to file and do public comments. So not yet. The second one was the disciplinary guidelines, and that one we are also still in review, but we are in the pre-review in the sense that board staff is still working with our regulatory attorney on drafting the language. And once that language is drafted, then the enforcement committee will be reviewing that for input and any revisions to it before it comes to the board. We're hoping that May would be all of that part, including the enforcement hearing and the enforcement committee review would happen before the next board meeting. So at that point, you would be seeing the actual proposed language, which would be kind of a big packet because this is the document that sets forth the rules and the guidelines for disciplinary rulemaking, including how much of a penalty, for example, for each of the violations. This has not been updated since 1996. Our regulatory council identified some legal issues in terms of our initial approach. So it's, I think once it is finalized and brought to the board, it'll be a really good document.
Great. So can you follow up with DCA on these items that have been there on somebody's desk for a little while? Just
oh, you mean for review? Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to be on the record having said that.
Yeah.
Board members, do we have any comments on or questions for Ms. Thorfinson on our regulatory rulemaking and the updates that we have? No. Okay. Then there are any members, there are no members of the public in the room. So we're just going to go straight online going forward. Moderator, is there anyone requesting to provide a public comment on agenda item number 13?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio-only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Great. We are going to move to agenda item number 14, the Osteopathic Medical Board of California Lobby Day. Update by Ms. Thorfinson, our legislative and regulatory specialist. I want to thank both Ms. Thorfinson and Ms. Calderon for their outstanding work in coordinating yesterday's inaugural Hill Day for our board. It was really amazing. It was great. I've done this a lot on the local and the national level, and it just really was very meaningful that we had so many representative offices that extended their welcome to us and their time. We weren't like run out of the office, and it was really good because for us to be able to really clarify who we are, what we do, you can tell it made a difference in their understanding. There were even several who indicated that they would contact us if anything came forth in front of them. They understood that we should be included in, if there's something with medical board in it, that osteopathic board should also be included in that legislation. And we now have opened the doors to communication between our organization and members, our lawmaking members. So with that, I want to open this up to Terry to share with everyone how yesterday went.
Thank you, President Pines. I have to give you credit for being the driving force behind our first lobby day. We started, one of the messages for Lobby Day is that this was our first since our inception in 1922. And that we, after 103 years, the legislature still and consumers still largely don't know what a DO is or the existence of our board. Sort of a humorous intro, but it was the reason for our being there for those visits to explain why would a regulatory board be lobbying. And the answer is that we are just not known and we are not included. And so we were trying to, as John mentioned, trying to have a legislative voice for the first time. And I was very pleased with the outcome. I have to also thank OPSC for lending us their 2 fact sheets about the difference between a DO and an MD, and also some demographics. We utilized those, and that was really, really helpful at a glance. I couldn't have done better than myself, so thank you, Holly, for lending those materials. It was very effective. And I was pleased, nobody, I don't think anybody gets excited, maybe Denise does, about lobbying. There was a little bit of, I would say, reticence about the ability among our board members, could they really be good lobbyists? But I am proud to say that they stepped up to the plate. And we divided our team, we divided into 2 teams. One team had our president, vice president, and executive director, and they were assigned the most powerful of the meetings. And so we had a show of power and leadership at those meetings with the message. And I led a second group, and keeping in mind we were trying to respect open meetings laws so that we didn't go as a team, 4. We did teams of 2. And Gore and John were on my team, and I was very pleased. One of the things I have in my career done in terms of creating messages is that if your message is received, you will hear other people say the message. And in this case, both Gore and John reflected the materials that I had prepared for them. I was so pleased to hear them present them. And I think that although they did not necessarily feel that they were professional lobbyists and acknowledge that, they were very effective. And that was really a good, so they made a very good impression. So the impression we made is not just a staff visit, but this was board members that put a good face and made a good impression. And I think perhaps the most important meeting that I consider perhaps historic is the meeting that Denise and Dr. Patel and Erica had with the chair of the Assembly Business and Professions Committee. And that the focus of that was to explain the training and the fact that foreign training is different among the osteopathic training throughout the world, and that there was sort of a point of pride in the U.S. and in California to only license people that are trained in the U.S. because of the nature of their training being both allopathic and osteopathic. So that I thought was a success. And behind all of our messages was public safety. We did mention, the growing concern over utilizing legislation to address the access to physicians issue, and that comes at the price of public safety to patients, and urged to, the solution should be looking to potentially increasing residency slots and increasing medical schools, and not changing the scope of practice so that the roles of physicians are now being shared or extended to other non-physician doing that. And so I think people were receptive. Unfortunately, everybody we talked to had not really, I guess maybe the exception of one who had friends that were going to DO school. Everybody didn't know what a DO was. And so that was kind of a purpose of our visit, and I think we accomplished that. We ended up doing 11 visits divided by 2 teams. And I think John asked me, well, how do you measure the success? Well, the goal was to introduce ourselves and to introduce some of the issues, the identity of what we do and what we stand for. And that, I think, was achieved for at least 11 visits, but there are like 60 members of the legislature. So it is a slow process of education, and those positions change every election. So it's kind of a constant education process. The different organizations that do lobbying, they constantly have to lobby, and they have to do it a lot and to a lot of people. We did I targeted leadership. We did get to meet with the president of the Senate staff, so we did meet with high level, the chairs of committees as well as the chairs, their staff. So even though we only had 11 visits, it was a full day, and I think that we were talking to pretty much leadership and people that would be looking at the board for oversight was kind of the goal. So I think mission accomplished from what we did, and I was pleased with the way it turned out.
Great. So was I. I think it was an outstanding day. I think to get 11 meetings was incredible. I hope that when we do this again next year is going to be really an important year because we're going into our sunset hearing in 2027. And so we will definitely, where this was about people knowing who we are and the importance of our field, to talk about the scope of practice, how we're growing, they have them ask questions. Next time is going to be different. We will have asks, and we kind of slyly teed it up a little bit, but we will have asks, so it will definitely be different, Mr. Cummings, that we will then know what the outcome is next year when we go in front of the Senate and the Assembly for our sunset. We will know whether or not that we have educated enough people to be able to support the things that we want to do to protect the public going forward. So thank you both. Thank everyone I appreciate you both for, you three for joining us. Terry and Erica for putting in the work because at the end of the year, I think we had 0 and then we went to 11. And that's just how it works. And I know you guys were kind of nervous and probably wanted to call me and say, let's cancel. But I know, but you knew that you couldn't come and let's cancel. So we did it. And you see, this is how it's really how it works, right? It's very kind of last minute. It's very nervous because you would like to, have it all planned in advance. So thank you again.
And I want to just acknowledge Erica was very helpful, as well as Machiko, in helping produce the materials. So I was able to focus on the visits, and both of them produced the materials that I thought were very professional looking. That was my goal. I wanted to make a good first impression, and I think that we did. And then I think I will find out how many more people call me and email me about bills. That will be kind of the measure.
Perfect.
And I promised Dr. Patel that we would try to secure a meeting with the governor.
Okay. Mr. Cummings, I can see wants to make a comment.
I do want to make a comment to the point that you both made about a purpose of educating and informing. I just wanted to second or third that and to make a distinction between that and what some people consider to be lobbying, which can be defined as, in terms of a verb, as trying to influence government officials or decision makers to support, I'm reading now, or oppose a specific law, policy, or action. And I think that's not really what we were doing. It was more informing, educating, establishing a connection, providing a potential future source of expertise that they could draw upon. And it was a very, very interesting and useful experience.
Great.
Yeah. So thank you.
Dr. Patel, Mr. Alderman, do you guys want to make any comments?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate being a part of this historic, event. It really made me feel proud to be a DO and be able to really make strides in educating our leadership, who a DO is, what we do, and what our mission is.
Thank you. Thank you, Wilson.
Definitely a great experience. We're able to communicate our message and just great experience.
Great. Perfect. He's shy, but he wasn't shy. Yes.
He was not. He was not in that in the lobby day. Like I said, I was very impressed with my team.
We don't have any members of the public in the room, but I want to see, moderator, are there anyone online who would like to make a public comment on agenda item 14?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can press *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Okay, we are moving to agenda item number 15, election of officers. Ms. Calderon.
Thank you, Madam Board President Pines. So this is a little different. We typically report out on a fiscal year. For elections, we do it calendar year from January through December. So we will be electing a board president today, a vice president, and a board secretary for the 2026-2027 calendar year. The way that we will proceed with elections will be the following. We will ask for nominations. We will ask for there to be a second. Ask the nominee if they accept the nomination, if they would like to present any remarks. And then we'll proceed with board discussion and then public comment. For board president, are there any nominations?
I nominate Denise.
I second.
Is there a second? Perfect, thank you. Ms. Pines, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations from the board?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Patel for Vice President.
Sorry, Ms. Pines, for board president still.
Board president,
Yeah,
sorry.
taking seconds on that one. Hearing none. Is there any board discussion? Any comments from members in the public in the room? Moderator, are there any comments from members online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Machiko, can we please have roll?
Denise Pines.
Aye.
Dr. Patel.
Aye.
Dr. Lockman.
Aye.
John Cummins.
Aye.
Gore Damian.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Ms. Pines.
Thanks. Thank you, guys.
That means I'm going to stay busy.
So I just want to thank everyone for their confidence in me carrying through another year as your president, to lead this board and to continuing the work that we've been doing since I've been on the board in the last 4 years to protect the consumer in all the ways in which we do that, from licensing to enforcement to clarity of who we are. And we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to operate with transparency and be authentic to the work that we have all been assigned to do as board members. So thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. So moving on to vice president, are there any nominations for vice president?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Patel as vice president.
Second.
Is there a second? Thank you. Dr. Hamish Patel, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Seeing none, is there any board discussion? Any comments from members in the public in the room? Moderator, any comments from members online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Machiko, can we please have roll?
Maybe. Okay. Denise Pines.
Yes.
Dr. Patel.
Aye.
Dr. Lockman.
Aye.
John Cummins.
Aye.
Gore Damian.
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Dr. Patel.
Thank you. It really has been an honor of a lifetime to serve on this board, and the work that we do is incredible. I'm always inspired by everybody sitting around me, and it's really changed the way I practice and look at things. So protection of the public is of the utmost priority for me in every decision I make. So thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Patel. The last position is for board secretary. Are there any nominations for board secretary?
So I'd like to nominate Gore Damian.
Is there a second?
Second.
Gore, do you accept the nomination?
Yes, I do.
Are there any other nominations for board secretary? Seeing none, is there any board discussion? Any comments from members of the public in the room? Moderator, any comments from members online?
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device.
All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Thank you. Montague, roll call, please.
Denise Pines,
Yes.
Dr. Patel,
Aye.
Dr. Lockman,
Aye.
John Cummins,
Aye.
Cora Damian.
Aye.
Congratulations, motion carries.
Thank you.
Any remarks?
I appreciate the nomination. I appreciate the confidence. I've learned a lot as well on the board. And I really love what we do. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations to all of you. Look forward to working another year. Lucky for us, we don't have to change anything on our side. And we adopted the strategic plan with everyone in their current position. So thank you for that. And for Gore, we don't have to change your name on our licenses that we issue out. So thank you. Made it easy for us today. Congratulations.
Perfect. Great.
Turn it back over to you, Ms. Pines.
Thank you. So we are now going to agenda item number 16, future agenda items. And so I have a couple things. One, there was a public comment about, on the enforcement report, getting information on the number of 805s and the education letters that we give out. I'd like to see moving forward that we include that, just so we can have a better perspective of those enforcement aspects. Board meetings, we have our future board meetings listed here, and board meetings are required to be in person unless there is something really outstanding. We get these dates a year in advance, so for you not to be physically present, I understand sometimes we have things that we can't change, but those being here physically is very important. A presentation, we are still working to get a presentation on a physician-patient relationship, and we're also still looking for an administrative law judge to give us a presentation on the corporate practice of medicine. I think that was a request by a board member. Yes, by Dr. Lockman had that interest, and I think that would be great for us to actually have that. Are there any other future agenda items that board members would like to add at this moment?
Have the meetings for July and April the location still not been set?
April 23rd is tentatively scheduled for Western University of the Pacific, so that'll be down in Pomona.
Okay.
July 23rd, there's nothing on the calendar at the moment.
Okay.
We are entertaining alternate sites. Dr. Patel is smiling. So he offered to find a location in Orange County, San Diego, right. And then Nagin, our new board member, also offered a location in San Diego as well.
When would that be?
Oh, July 23rd is the only open date right now where you have nothing scheduled. So November 5th will be at CHSU down in Clovis, California. April 23rd, Pomona, unless they say otherwise. And then July 23rd, you have an open date. So,
and that's probably why it's on the LMBC website. It's still TBD. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. San Diego would be great. We have not.
Right. I know we've never been to San Diego. We've been trying for years.
We've gone down to San Diego. So let's
try for San Diego.
Let's try for San Diego.
I will touch base with her and see if we're able to get July 23rd on the calendar.
She's a professor, so that, and she offered to give us her services on that. So
great.
Yes, we'll look into that. I do have a question. Dr. Patel, you had mentioned an interest in having the ACGME present. They did offer to get on our agenda. We couldn't accommodate it this time, but is that something that you are still interested in?
There's good interest with that ACCME. So Dr. McMahon, Graham McMahon would be good to hear from him.
Perfect.
Okay. Board members, any other future agenda items you have interest in? Not, there are no members of the public in our audience, so I'm going to go to the moderator for one final time to see if there's any public comments from the public that are online.
This is the moderator for members of the public on WebEx. If you would like to make a
public comment on this item, please click the raise hand icon, or if you're an audio only participant, you can raise your hand by pressing *3 on your device. All right, and it appears there are no requests for public comment at this time.
Wow, okay. Usually we have a couple of recommendations, but all right, okay. Well, we will move to our last agenda item, which is 17, which is adjournment. So for those of you who have traveled, safe travels home, and thank you for joining us online. We have no audience members, and thank our board members for joining us today. Okay.